It's your boy Prophesa X, aka the Quis. Once again, you are here for another episode of Quis Couch. Here's the couch. Here's the Quis. Let's get it popping. As promised, I did say that I would review the movie Thor. I loved it. What can I say? My man Donald Blake, aka the Odin son, Thor, he went hammer. He pretty much held it down. For the first half an hour of that movie, I saw more action than I have in every Bruce Willis, Samuel Jackson, Jackie Lee movie combined. I mean, if you have not seen a god wreak havoc on Frost Giants lately, I highly recommend that you go see this movie. And it wasn't just an action movie. See, Marvel, for those who don't know, has been bought by Disney. So this was a Disney movie, okay? And the bottom line is that this next combination of movies that Marvel will be producing this summer, as well as next summer with the Avengers movie, these movies is tying together for the first ever comic book movie crossover. I'm talking Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor. There was even a cameo in the Thor movie. Shouts out to Hawkeye, aka Agent Barton, with dude with the bow and arrow. You know what I mean? It's like all of these superheroes from Marvel, not DC. And Green Lantern, we'll see. I don't know how I feel about Green Lantern having CGI individualized toes in his boots. You know, like them little footy socks that girls wear. Like, that's not gangster. You can't say the galaxy in your boots, we can see your toes. I mean, that's worse than bat nipples. You know what I'm saying? So, DC, you go sit down somewhere. But Marvel, you got Iron Man, you got the Hulk, you got Thor, Captain America coming out. I don't know how they're going to tie the X-Men, and if they even are going to put the X-Men with the Avengers. Although Wolverine, as you saw in his movie Wolverine Origins, or X-Men Origins Wolverine, he was in World War II. Now, Captain America, World War II, Wolverine is like 125 years old, so I'm pretty sure they're going to have Agent Howlett, James Howlett, aka Wolverine, in the Captain America movie. So, you know, it's pretty exciting. So Thor, it tied together a lot of important elements. For those who don't know, the premise of Thor is mythology. It's the Viking equivalent of God in the Bible. So Thor is the Viking Jesus. Odin is the Viking equivalent of, you know, the All-Father, and Loki is the devil. So there's that very obvious. I mean, Jesus was a carpenter. Hello, he had a hammer. So, you know, there's a lot of clear, obvious. I mean, that's just the history of religion. You know, you look at Hercules and the Greeks, and you look at the Romans. And so, you know, whether you're talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh, it's just stories building upon stories. But as far as movies go, if Jesus had a big hammer and was flying around smacking people down, then the Passion of Christ might have been a little more critically accepted. As it was, Thor, my man, he held it down. And I ain't gonna lie, it was a scene where he had a shirt off, and I'm confident enough in my manhood to say that he made me feel some kind of way, because he had, like, you know what I'm saying, like the pelvic joint showing off. And ladies, they assure me that that's the sexiest part of a man, is that little hip area. I ain't gonna show you mine, because mine's ain't Thor sexy. But I was like, damn, son, like I had to look away. So, you know, it's something for the ladies. You got the eye candy. At one point, Thor had this moment where he sacrificed himself. No spoilers, but you know, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a sequel. But there was a moment where he was dying in Natalie Portman's arms, Jane Foster, and the little boy next to me, little 5-year-old boy, was crying. And, you know, I wanted to be like, oh, it's okay. I'm pretty sure he's gonna make it. But, you know, it had that level of depth of emotion with you know, Anthony Hopkins playing, you know, this amazing, complex God King, and Loki. You know, he was very complex. We got to see the evolution of not only Thor come from being an arrogant, self-absorbed, egotistical monster, which I can possibly relate to. We saw Loki, this orphan child, this really tragic, living in his older brother's shadow. Definitely can't relate to that, because I make the shadows my older brother little. So, you know, yeah. Anyways, you know, Loki, he couldn't reconcile the fact that, you know, he had this big, gorgeous, blonde, you know, god of a brother, and he was always in his shadow. But, you know, he loved his brother. It's just that he resented him. So you see the de-evolution of his personality, his character, from someone who was kind of dubious and broken, to somebody by the end of the movie who's a villain, and who will, as they did in the comic books, Loki was responsible for bringing the Avengers together. So there's a point in the movie where they really make it clear that when we see the Captain America movie and when we see the Avengers movie, everything that we saw in Iron Man and in the Hulk and what other movies they tie into it, maybe a Black Panther, Ant-Man, Wasp. There's so many Avengers. There's literally hundreds of these characters running around in Marvel Comics. And I just think for the next couple of years, we're about to see something really impressive with the fact that Disney paid $4 billion to control this entertainment juggernaut. And it's about to be really entertaining. And Thor really kicked off the summer movie time with just bringing it. I mean, my man, he killed it. This dude was just throwing the hammer around, bringing down lightning. I mean, when you're the god of thunder, people expect you to bring it. And yeah, Thor, he brought it. CGI was on point. I didn't like Thor's his cape. I didn't like how it was all like set up. That was a little too cheesy. I felt like right there that was a little back nipple. So shouts out to DC. Y'all not the only ones who make a few fashion faux pas when it comes to the superheroes. Other than that, there was a criticism about the fact that he spent a lot of time walking around in flannel and eating at Denny's. A few too many Facebook jokes. I liked it. Kat Dennings, she added a lot of texture. Anybody who knows her from Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, she was really good in bringing that today voice, that Facebook, Twitter, demographic. So I really felt like you haven't even had Idris Elba play Heimdall, a god who in the comics he's white. So the fact that they cast a very capable black actor to play a Viking god, I think that they definitely reached for a lot of different demographics, and I felt like they hit their mark. So whether we're talking about having Sif, the warrior god, go in and kick ass, or you have a black god and you had an Asian god, the Warriors 3, who is it? Not Hogan, but Fando. And Volstagg, shouts out to Volstagg. So you had just really multi-ethnic, multi-generational, across the board. Thor appealed to various groups of people, but primarily as a fan of Marvel comics, of pop culture, of this type of thing, it spoke to me. This is one of the first movies that a comic book adapted, that was adapted from a comic book, that I loved. I really I give it an A-, because I did wish that there was less flannel and man sexiness. I appreciated what they were trying to do, but I shouldn't have to look away from my superhero movie. You feel me? I should be able to look the full time and not feel some kind of way, because I think they showed a little too much of that lower area. Like they went like maybe an inch lower, and he looked like a diesel swimmer. Like a swimmer on steroids. I don't know. It went somewhere left. But I understood they had to have the romance, and I think they did a good job of developing that relationship. I thought Natalie Portman was a little too eager. I mean, granted it was a guy, but she might have held back a little. She went a little too hard. I like my ladies to be a little more, like my wife is, a little more, standoffish. You got to work for it. She jumping on his head like, bring thunder to me. I mean, I ain't hating on Thor. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go ladies over a man, a god, it's okay. I understand that, but objectively, it could have been a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, how could Captain America or Iron Man follow that in their little love interest? You know what I'm saying? Pepper Potts had to deal with a broken, alcoholic in a suit of armor. Okay, so that was that motherly broken animal, nurturing thing going on there. With Captain America, he was a weakling who became a super soldier. But he was still a man. Strongest man, most powerful, physically fit man ever, still a man. So, I had to appreciate that Jane in the face of this god, was a little taken. I'll give her that. And I was too, ultimately, with the product that is the Thor movie. Never really was a fan of the comic. Shouts out to the X-Men, because that, that's a whole nother conversation. But Thor as a comic is starting to step it up in light of this exposure. So as I spoke in the last episode, Fear itself, is surrounds Asgardian Thor mythos in the comic world. So basically now is a good time to start reading Marvel comics and comics in general if you haven't already. This past weekend was Free Comic Book Day nationally, perhaps internationally, I'm not sure. But it's great to see my favorite childhood source of entertainment, comic books, specifically Marvel comic books, come to a level where they never have existed before. We're a far cry from the original Captain America movie where he had the rubber, ears, and the Fantastic Four, from back in the day, and the Punisher. Marvel was kind of like a dirty secret. Now they killing it. And I expect that in the next couple years, Marvel Comics, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America will be household names, and it'll be like, Superman who? So shout out to Thor, great movie. I give it 2 thumbs up. I raise my mighty hammer, Mjolnir. And I just can't wait to see Captain America, X-Men First Class, and we'll go see what Green Lantern's talking about. All right, look out for further reviews and more fun on the couch with Quis. Plenty of things to come. Next up, I'm going to be talking about this little video vixen, Shanika Adams, and a video that leaked, and we're going to talk about sexting and leaking videos, and the fact that she's looking to become the new, the next superhead, or what's shorty name? Corinne, video vixen Corinne something. I can't think of her last name. Corinne Burroughs. I could Google it, but bottom line, it's a lot to talk about. So from comics to movies to video games to pop culture. I have guests. I'm gonna have people to interview. You're gonna see more rap. Shouts out to my little cousins coming at me talking about I can't freestyle. Come on now, you know what I'm saying? Don't play a player. Poetry, in-depth discussion. It's everything that's in my crazy head. So it's going to be a nice ride. Bumpy at first. This is uncharted territory, but I promise you, it's a product that you will most certainly come to love or hate. Either way, it's good for me. Ain't no room for middle ground. Hate it or leave it alone. All right, I'm gonna see y'all sooner than you think, and possibly sooner than some of you may prefer. Oh well. Keeps going viral. Deuces.